Right back at it. African History Quote of the Day from J.A. Rogers, Sex and Race, Volume 1, on race mixing under Islam, right? North Africa and Morocco. So you see how they differentiate North Africa and Morocco, right? And so it says, start here. The process had gone on for probably thousands of years prior to the 8th century, from before Julius Caesar and down to the early part of the 19th century. The Barbary sea rovers, who were largely Negroid, raided the ships in the coast of Europe as far as north as the British Isles. With the invasion of Spain by the Moors in 711, the number of white captives into Africa increased. The invasion of France brought in other hordes. For 4 centuries, roughly from 1400 to 1800, collections were taken up in the churches of Europe for the ransom of white Christians held in African slavery. Holland, Sweden, Denmark, Spain, even the United States, after her severance from England, had to pay tribute to these Negroid sea rovers. White Americans were captured on the high seas and taken into the Sudan as slaves. The United States sent warships to Africa several times to free white Americans held in bondage there. Once being under Decatur in 1815, Ab Bushnot, who was sent by Louis the what's that? Louis the I will figure out later to negotiate with Moulay Ismail, Emperor of Morocco, for the release of French captives, gives a touching story of their plight and of their numbers. Pedon de Saint Olan, another Frenchman who visited Morocco at this time, says in regard to Moulay Ismail and French captives, upon that, Moulay Ismail made a sign to the French slaves to approach him, and all threw themselves flat on their bellies at his feet. By all accounts, the Africans treated their white slaves as hardly as the American colonists did the blacks. This was the exception, however. The whites had always the alternative of embracing Islam and becoming one with the fold, a step which was highly repugnant to most of them. Okay, so let's decipher this. He said from Julius Caesar down to the early part, they raided Julius Caesar down to the early part of the 19th century. Barbary. Now, Barbary is another word for Moorish. And we know Moorish means black people, African people. Moorish sea rovers who were largely Negroid, so he's saying that they were black folks, raided the ships and east coast of Europe as far as north as the British Isles. And when we re-invaded Spain in 711, we were warring with them, and so we had captives, and sometimes we send the captives into Africa. And the invasion of Spain brought in other hordes. Then when we invaded Spain, we got basically had beef with these people, right? And it said for 4 centuries, roughly from 1400 to 1800s, collections were taken up in churches of Europe for the reasons ransom of white Christians held in African slavery. Okay, let's decipher that. So from 1400 to 1800, as the African slave trade was going on too, there was also uh, uh, European slave trade. Now let's get these slave trades and some of this stuff in context. It was a battle going on. This is a battles and wars that go back to 711. And so as they would capture us, we would capture them. And we caught them in Holland, Sweden, Denmark, Spain, and even the United States had to pay us money from after severance from England, as you can see, had to pay us money as they would capture on the waters and taking us to Africa as war prisoners of war. The United States sent warships to Africa several times to free the white Americans held in bondage there, one being under Decatur in 1815. Now, this is a lie. Go research all this stuff, right? And so what it's saying to you is, was the African slave trade? Yeah, but it was something else going on because the United States did not have full control of the seas. And when we lost Spain, we took the battle to the waters. And so it's showing you that we would capture them. A good movie to watch is Pirates of the Caribbean. We would capture these Europeans. And all this is important because this is dealing with nationality. And people are like, proclaim your nationality. Most people are confused because this information is not in your school books. For example, when he said Ishmael, what he said, Muli Ishmael and the French captains, he made a sign, and the French slaves approached him and all threw themselves flat on their bellies at his feet. And so you're not hearing about stuff like this in school. You're being told that you have always been docile. They're not telling you that the Barbary Wars was about them being docile to us, or it was a great battle. And so when people say proclaim your nationality, it's hard for people to understand that because this information has been ripped from your school history books. In your school history books, they are not telling you about the Barbary Wars. You see what I'm saying? You see it say Barbary, and then when you hear about United States and Africa, you're hearing just the African slave trade. No one's telling you that the United States had to pay Africa and Morocco tribute and money just for them to exist. And if I'm lying, go research this stuff. You can go find it, but you won't find it in your school books. That's why people are like, we Moors. It's very confusing for some because you don't know about the Barbary Wars. All you know is about Columbus discovered America, and then they tell you something about Britain. You don't know about the relationship between Britain and Morocco and United States and Morocco. But you always see these politicians thank Morocco for being the first people to recognize them, the United States, as a country, LLC, whatever you want to call it. And so that's our quote for today. You got any questions, let me know. But it just shows you can research this. And the reason you proclaim your nationality because it was a truce made that we will stop capturing them and enslaving them, and they will stop catching us and enslaving us over a war. That's what the real secret is. It was a war going on, and so as we lost Spain in 1492, we just took the battle to the seas, and they would try to catch us and enslave us. And even though we had battles in Africa, as you can see in movies like Woman King, we still have wars on the battles on the sea, where they called us pirates and stuff like that, and corsairs. We got the corsair car, and so we would capture them. They would catch us. Then we came together and signed something called the Treaty of Friendship and Peace in 1787. Where we told them we'd stop catching them, they'd stop catching us. That's why when you go to court, you're supposed to be able to enforce your Moorish nationality because us Moors are not part of the United States. As you can see, we are American. We're part of the Moroccan Empire, which is also America, Africa, really the whole planet. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why nationality is important because it's dealing with this. It's dealing with the Barbary Wars. That's really one of the main reasons you declare nationality because you are a victim of the Barbary Wars and you are a victim of not knowing of the Barbary Wars. So somebody say we Moors, you thinking about a group of people in North Africa. But ask yourself, how the hell the United States enslaving you that they had that all of a sudden they made a truce with people in Africa? So somebody's lying to you, and just be diligent in your study. But this is what it is based on a lot. This is the Barbary Wars. When people say proclaim your nationality and then we are Moors, and also the fact that we are indigenous to every land, including America. When you read the indigenous rights, it also talks about proclaiming your nationality. And so when someone deprives you of your nationality, it's a crime against humanity. All right, so this your boy Jay Pillar. That's the quote of the day from J.A. Rogers, Sex and Race, Volume 1. Man, get your study on. Don't be no dummy. Don't be no slave. I'll holler at y'all later. We winning, baby.